2, 1, action. There are not many people in the optical industry globally that are more recognized than David. David is optical royalty. If you've never heard of him before, then you're about to really get to know him. I'm Garry Kousoulou. This is the Optician Podcast, and let's find out. David, thank you for tuning in. Where are you in the world, and what time is it?
Well, right now it's 7:45 in the morning. I just came home from Vision Expo in Orlando, and I'm talking to you, Gary, over in the UK, but I'm in New York on Long Island.
You're hot to trot. You've seen what's on trend. We just had London, and I was in Germany earlier. You travel the world. You see everything. How was Orlando?
Well, Orlando was great. I think, for us in the United States, this is an interesting time regarding trade shows, because you may recall that we used to have 2 trade shows in the United States. One was Vision Expo East, one was Vision Expo West. This is the first year we're only going to have one show. So we're going to have one show this year. This was New York, or rather Orlando. And then the shows are going to rotate between New York, Orlando, and Las Vegas for the next few years.
Wow.
So this is the place. If you're going to get it done, you're going to get it done in one of those shows.
It saves the manufacturers money.
Yep.
And it's a big country, so you look forward to that one big one. I cannot. Yep. Where is the next one?
Well, the next one I believe is going to be in. You know what? I think it's going to be in New York next year, and then Las Vegas is what I remember. Yeah.
I can't wait to see you there. So for those that have never, ever met you or seen your work, will you tell us what is it you do? What's your, why is it that you are optical royalty?
Well, I like to not think of myself as optical royalty, but let's say what I do. So I'm the president of 2 companies. One is a family-owned and operated business called Clear Vision Optical. It was formed in 1979. It's an eyewear distributor of sunglasses, readers, and eyewear glasses like you're wearing. Nice Kirk and Kirk.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. And then the second company is Tech Print Industries, which is a software development company located by let's call it by continent. So we have an office in the Netherlands, office in New York. And we do software development for 3D printing, as well as do the production of 3D printing of eyewear. That's really a great one. And I'm also serving as a director on a co-op of 85 doctors in Texas called Texas State Optical. It's a great, great group.
What do they do?
So they have offices. It's a really old business, starting, I think, in 1936. So it's a little bit, just about 90 years old. And it's a co-op owned by doctors that work as a, let's call it a medical and retail chain. And I'm working with them as, like I said, one of their board of directors.
So my intention for these podcasts, I started out and I just wanted to speak to exceptional people or people just that have done exceptional things in our industry. You are the first American, so I'm so grateful to that. I'm so grateful. We want to add as much value. So if you're listening to this, I really appreciate you tuning in and listening. But we want to teach you stuff. We want to teach you about David, your energy. When you turn up, the room knows you're there.
Well, thanks. Honestly, I think that's genetic. It's not anything that I can claim. It's my mom. I'm told that 1 out of 20 people have this type of energy. And I got it from my mom, who got it from her mom. And although I didn't know my great grandmother, I'm sure it was somebody back in that generation.
And it's a wonderful thing. Your energy is lovely, and you're a lovely person to be around. So you love optics. Can you see when I'm talking with people that are big picture thinkers and directors, they can see the future. And that's a good place to start. We could look at the future. We can look at what's made you. Well, what do you see happening in optics over the next 12 months? Because it's a weird place to be right now. The world, the economy, we're in a strange place.
Well, it's very interesting that you say that, because, part of what I like doing and have been doing for many years is looking out into the future. I do a lot of public speaking on what's happening. I just finished a, a lecture, talk, seminar, whatever you like, at Raritan Community College with opticians on what I see for the future of opticianry. So I would say, 12 months relative to what we're talking about is a shorter period. But what I would say for the short period, a few things that are happening worldwide. Like I just came back from London, right? What I saw over there was a lot of AI. I think it's the beginning of an AI revolution for the optical community. I see a lot of dry eye also over in London. That was very
You know
evident to me.
what? You know what I think it is. Opticians are so bad at marketing that they won't. They're scared of doing something new, and then once they see somebody with doing something well, they'll all follow. But what makes me sad is there's so many opportunities. It doesn't just have to be dry eye. Like
Oh,
I think they're just all jumping on the bandwagon, and there's not
well,
enough volume there. If every single person jumps on it, you're not differentiating yourself enough.
well, the key exactly is that for differentiation. And I would also say, for example, we were just talking right before the podcast about Kim in Canada. There's also something I see a lot happening in the U.S. and in Canada. I know that there's similar movement in Europe because I've spoken to a few people there. The mobile opticianry is also very interesting. Bringing the service to the individual customer, whether it's one person or an office, that seems to be happening a lot too. But when you want to differentiate yourself, there's a number of ways to do that. We've talked about a few. One that I like also is buy your product. So one of the things that's happening in the UK, it's also happening in the US, as some of the bigger companies get bigger and they either are purchasing offices and or creating programs for independent offices, many of the offices begin to look alike. And what one way to differentiate yourself is by product. Services is another way to do it. But
Services, people don't go into a practice or a office and expect bad service. They just don't. They expect eye contact, a smile, greeted. That's a really tough one to differentiate yourself on. Opticians in the UK are offering coffee and tea, and they're taking it as far as you can go with customer service. So that as a differential is a really difficult battleground. For me, I read your report about the things that you saw.
Right.
There was a doctor, he's a GP, and he's got the license, the sole distribution license for something called Dr. Noon. Have you heard of it?
Tell me more and I'll tell you if I've heard of it.
South Korean. It's South Korean technology. The picture is taken of the back of your eye. And from that image, without you saying anything, 98% accuracy on whether you're going to have a heart attack or heart disease.
Yeah. Actually, I visited. It was in the UK that I visited that. Topcon has a similar technology that they're using, and I did visit an independent ophthalmologist in the UK who's developing that. I love that. I love that a lot. Why do I like that? That's one of the other things that's happening a bunch in the US. The optometrists, because we have a slight difference between optometrists and opticians here compared to the UK. The optometrists are doing a lot more of the initial healthcare observations, and one of them is cardiovascular. You can see that through the back of the eye. I think that's going to happen a lot, and that's going to be good for optometrists because generally speaking, because of the insurance laws we have, or insurance system we have in the United States, not laws, insurance systems, people visit their ODs more frequently. They might visit their general practitioners. So eye health is something
you say, here's something interesting. So, we've got trade shows all over the world, and doctors, general practitioners have the same. And I went with this guy to their conference, and one of them said to me, Gary, this is going to extend the life of men. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, married men don't tend to look after their health, but when they're with a partner, they generally live 10 years longer because their partners push them. Now, men go for eye tests more so than they do for a kidney
Yeah, yeah,
stone or whatever it happens to be, right? Whatever check you want. And I get that. But I will go happily to the optician. I won't go to a doctor or a hospital appointment as readily. So what the doctors were saying is, look, this is a game changer for your industry because you're going to be able to tell heart and liver and kidney and all these things. So I thought this is really good. And if you've got the machines already,
right.
low cost entry.
Yeah, very, very good. It's I guess they call it, a retinal image or a fundus image. OCT machines can do that. Yeah, and this is, even if it's not done, to be fair, as a revenue generator, it's actually part of the thing that differentiates you. I think, you talked about, what's happening over the next 12 months too, and what's happening in the future. I think the eye care space is going to become a lot more diagnostic. In addition to refractions, there's going to be a lot more diagnoses that are done, including what we just talked about. But you can get a lot of diagnoses out of your tears as well. So I think we're going to see more of that. Now, to be fair, in the next 12 months, maybe yes, maybe no. But what you said before is that there's early adopters in our space, in eye care space. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that generally. So for us, I think the future looks very good. However, all of us have to understand what you said. How do we differentiate ourselves? Why is someone going to come back to our office?
Now, let me tell David, when I walk in the subway, on the underground, in the street, I get stopped. And people come up to me and they say, where'd you buy those? That does not happen if I was wearing a black frame that was rectangle. It doesn't happen. And opticians don't get that. They don't think your frame is your advert out there. And yes, maybe out of 100 frames, maybe only 10% be pop. And they have an unusual color or they have an unusual size. Yesterday I was in the supermarket. I saw a lady and on the side it had a zip. It looked like a zip and it's half open. And it looks so interesting. This is what we need.
Yeah, there's something, I agree with you 100%. And there's actually something that's also happening in our world. And I'm not suggesting it's about any one product. So I want to be clear that I say that. But in the world of smart eyewear, which is also something that's
Luxottica just doubled their production on the smart stuff.
We're going to see a lot of that also happening in the next year. But what's generally interesting, other than companies like Luxottica, there's a challenge in creating lots of new styles for smart eyewear. Why is that? The eyewear is very specific. It in some cases, like even realities, they make their frames out of magnesium, and it has to be a certain shape and a certain, let's call it, rigidity. So the challenge for them, as an example, is that many of the colors will look the same, many of the shapes look the same. For Luxottica in Meta, to be fair, it's a bigger company, so they can have more shapes. But at the end of the day, not everyone wants to wear 6 or 7 shapes, 3 or 4 colors. And that's the challenge with smart eyewear today.
Can you overcome that with your 3D printing? Because I want an aviator. I want to be able to answer the phone on my glasses.
Right. So we can do that with 3D printing.
Wow.
There's 2 ways we do that. One, we can utilize, and we have a solution now, and we showed it at Vision Expo. We can utilize what the world is calling smart temples. So the temples themselves have the similar functionality minus the camera, which is another issue.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. We can do it with a camera too, but it becomes a little bit tricky. So in that case, the person can select almost any front.
Do you have a distributor in the UK for those sites? I'm your guy. I'm your guy. I see that vision. I'm your guy. I sign me up now. Because I love innovation. I don't know if you know this about me. I was the very first optician in the world to have a Facebook page. And Meta have done a case study on me.
Wow.
I love innovation. I'm a creative trapped in an optician's body here.
Yeah, well, I'm a creative trapped in a businessman's body, so we're the same.
And I think that optometrists and doctors, by their very nature, they're careful and they
Yeah.
stick within a certain boundary. And there's you and I, crazy, like, full of
Oh, that
energy, and but we push boundaries, and we're very. Like, I'm so lucky to be in this industry because I don't think I'd stand out in if I'd gone into film or acting, or I would have just been like every other Joe.
this is very interesting too. The nature of our profession from the medical side, and I can understand it. I very well can understand it. There's a certain amount of conservatism that comes in, which really is from the medical side, not the fashion side and not the marketing side. But when I met with a couple of doctors, we could use an example again. What's going to be happening in the U.S. in the next 12 months, which is already happening in Europe? We have the introduction of the Stellest lens from Essilor, which is for myopia management. Now
Are
there
you
are other.
Are you associated with Essilor in any way?
Myself, no. The company Clear Vision, no.
No.
Yeah.
So I there's a thing called BCLA, British Contact Lens Association, and there's this little short little Filipino, beautiful, wonderful human being, and she says to me, Gary, I am the leading authority in controlling myopia in the world. That's a bold claim, right?
I would say it's a bold claim.
And I looked at her, I said, okay, that's interesting. I said, what would you use for controlling myopia? What would be the thing? And she said, atropine. She said, number
Yeah.
one thing, atropine. I said, say you didn't have that. She said, ortho K. I said, okay. I said to her, which is the best, Hoya or Essilor? And she scoffed at it. She said, ha, ha. I said, well, which one? She said, Hop, Hope, Chinese. I said, oh, okay. She said, look, the studies have shown that this one's really good. And it's just coming into the UK, this Hop lens. But I think controlling myopia is I've known about it for 20 years. Like, it was in Australia before it hit here. I worked with an Australian optometrist. If you are not doing this, then you're leaving money on the table. But not only that, you're really letting people down. For children that could need the controlling myopia. David, so is this breaking in America, the controlling myopia stuff?
Right. So we have a bunch of early adopters as well. One of the early adopters in leading from a let's call it a marketing point of view was Matt Erding and Gary Gerber formed a company. I would say 6 to 10 years ago.
You see this bald smile when you said Gary Gaber.
Yeah.
Are you friends? Are you personal friends?
Yeah, personal friends. Yeah. Do you know him? Yeah.
What a guy. What a guy. So the first
Yeah.
time I met him, he served me a burger. So I went to this venue late and he was speaking, but I didn't see who was speaking. It was just fine. And I ordered a burger and he served me it. And the next thing I know, the guy's on stage as the keynote.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
What a guy. What a lovely guy.
It's amazing that we know some of the same people. But anyway, Gary formed a company called Treehouse Eyes. They specialize in myopia management. They have about 100 offices now they're working with. But as I was about to say, with Stellest, that's just come into the U.S. now. More and more people are getting, because they have to get FDA approval. Where this all started, if you remember, is the conservative nature of our eye care providers. And, people are going to be early adopters, but many people are going to wait. The part that's most interesting about the Stellest lens is that you have to have really good eyewear that stays in place for the child for anywhere from 10 to 14 hours a day. So this is going to actually be very, very good for opticians and fitting and eyewear, because the lens doesn't work well unless you have really great eyewear. So it's a really interesting time, I think, for opticians, optometrists, and ophthalmologists. You said the next 12 months, but let's roll it out, 12 to 36 months, a lot of things going on.
David, let me tell you something interesting. And if you're watching this, please roll your seat in. So I meet these Hungarians. Have you heard about the Hungarian color deficiency stuff?
Talk a little bit more. I'll tell you if I
blew my mind. There's these two Hungarians, very little charisma. Like nobody was talking to them. They were just standing there like this. And it's just like do you know about the bottle, the bottle that's an optic that serves solution?
Yeah, glassware,
Glasgow.
glass.
So I was
Yeah,
the sole distributor for that in Germany. I bought that from Germany to England, and then I gave it away. So anyway, it's a very similar thing. So I meet these Hungarians, and they're standing there, and I'm curious. And I said, "What have you got here?" And he shows me a color vision chart, and he says, we're the first people in the world to have uh, a medical device that actually can solve this." I'm like, okay. I said, I'll take it. And they said, no, 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 no. We're not here to sell one. We want the distribution. I throw my hat in. And it turns out that Hungary exported tomato ketchup. And when they were exporting it, there was one guard, one customs officer, he kept saying that it's not red enough. So they threw in millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds over the last 20 years to get it right. And I'm very proud to say that during the 100% optical, their equivalent in the States is called, what's it called?
you're gonna have to help me.
I don't know. They got some equivalent in the States. And people were saying, look, they've tried that one, they've tried this one, and it's better. So I think this is very exciting. One in 10 boys is color deficient.
Yes,
Get people
exactly.
in. Now, but have you heard of Specsavers?
Sure, of course.
So Specsavers were very clever. They had no interest in hearing, but what they were doing, they were getting our patients to go to them to check their hearing, and they were saying to them, "Soon as you're here, you might as well get your eyes tested." And that's what I see. I see, soon as you're here, we might as well get some 3D printed specs done. The biggest, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the biggest buyers of these smart specs are people that are colored, that are visually impaired. It's their
Yes.
eyes.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. We can talk about a few things there. Absolutely, for smart eyewear going forward, it's going to be solutions for a few people. So my mom has macular degeneration. She actually called me up about a year ago saying, "David, why didn't you get into this right away?" Because of what you said. The camera on the smart eyewear helps her see small print or going around the house to see what she needs to identify it. So absolutely, there's going to be a lot of solutions. You know, the same thing you said about hearing. There's a really nice company where you are, the UK, called Amplify, Dave Murphy. And Dave wants to have more hearing tests done in eye care providers so that the individuals that are coming in can also get hearing tests and solve their solutions when they have a hearing deficiency. When I was at the UK, I went over into a few booths that were showing that same or similar solution. And in the United States, I think it's a great opportunity for that too, for optometrists, opticians, ophthalmologists to offer a hearing solution combining with an audiologist.
It makes sense. And feet and teeth and there's a connection between diabetes. So if you've got diabetes, yeah, podiatrists care about that, dentistry. Now, here's an interesting thing. I got to, by some luck, some dumb luck, I met someone who knows a lot about LED lights. And in the States, there's a thing called biohacking. You guys love this stuff. Biohacking?
Mm.
You know about that? Well,
talk a little bit more and I'll tell you.
There's a Netflix, loads of Netflix. Like the dad looks younger than the son because he's taking pills, okay, and he's doing all this stuff. So it's called biohacking. So this guy, he's got an LED light that it beams into the back of your eye. It's a certain frequency, and he can't make the claim right now. But with AMD, it's re-exciting the mitochondria. 99% of the market, he's selling it to America. They're out of stock. I'll put you in touch with the guy. The guy he's onto something here. He's going to win a Nobel Prize. On wet AMD, it isn't as effective, but this is a thing that your mum should be. If we
can get FDA approval, it sounds good. Otherwise, it'll be tough in the United States. We need approval. We need approval. You know, Gary, you talked about you're being a curious guy. I think that's one of the most important things for our profession to understand it's curious people like yourself and others that actually are first movers in making things happen. So I'll be curious to say, when you were chatting, were you at the 100% optical?
I had my
Yeah.
own stand, but we were in a weird place. I'm sorry
Ah.
that we didn't see each other. I was
Oh
there,
yeah, I didn't see you.
and I
Yeah.
spoke. The thing is, I did send a press release. I'm the only British, anybody that's spoken at every single 100% optical. So I was on the stage all 3 days, and that
Oh
is
wow.
very disruptive. If you got a stand, you're getting pulled off. You had to prepare. So I was all over the place.
All right. Sorry, I didn't see you. Would have
I
been
was
fun.
sorry.
Would have been fun to go out. But I'm curious for yourself. Did you see anything that was very interesting there yourself at 100%?
I saw colours, loads and
Yeah.
loads of colours. Colours is a thing now. I go into opticians and I say, "Where's your green frames?" And then we don't have any. "Where's your red frames?" I don't have. "Where's your blue frame?" This is something that the British, if you're watching this, please, and you're buying some glasses, pick a few blue, red, green ones, right? It counts. Upswept shapes were very hot. This technology, everyone was talking about AI. Everyone
Yeah.
was talking about dry eye. Everyone and their mother was talking about dry eye. And I feel that they're just chasing what's on trend now rather than really caring about that.
Yeah. Let me comment a little bit on what you said about colors, because I think I have maybe a good outreach to your audience. Um, here's two examples of why I think color can work in a different way than many frame buyers have been thinking over many years. So frame buyer one, she invites me to her office. She asks me what do I think about her frame selection. So I go over to the women's board, and let's be honest, it's a lot more. It's exciting. It's
Oh,
good. It's
oh,
nice.
nice.
Yeah, and I feel that way. When I go over to the men's board, she asked me what I thought, and I said to her, "Do you really want me to give you my opinion?" She said yes. I said, "Well, let's look at it. First of all, the lighting isn't as good where you are, so I want a better
No
lighting.
way.
And number two, if you stand back, about 6 feet, which is where most people will stand, 3 to 6 feet from the board, what do you see?" And she comes back from where I'm at, and she looks, and she says, "Everything looks kind of brown or black." And I said, "Exactly. You have a board here of 72 pieces, and almost everything looks the same." That's what I said. Now, hopefully, my observation is going to be passed to her, so she sees to make it differently. Now, let me give you a second example. This goes back well over 15 years in our company. We ran a promotion for kids frames, and within this promotion, there were 18 frames that you were going to buy, and we're going to give you 9 free, and you're going to buy 9. But within that selection, there was one unisex frame that was silver. Think about this: silver for a child, and one that was bright red, happened to be for a girl. And a couple of our sales reps called us up and said, "I can't sell this." I said, "Why is that?" They said, "Nobody wants silver for a kid. Nobody wants red for the girl, blah, blah, blah." I said, "These are free frames. Let's just put them up on the board and see what happens." And as it turns out, the silver frame in that one style became 50% of the sales. So it became our best seller in that style. And the red frame, which there were 3 colors, sold 33%. What's the lesson? If you don't put it up on the board, like the first person, which is brown and black, if you don't put it on the board, it'll never sell. If you put it on the board, you're giving selection to the consumer who wants to come in and find something different. So my message to your audience would be, pick colors that will make your board pop for 50% of your board.
Especially at eye level. At eye
Yeah.
level. Don't put them at the bottom. Put them something interesting, people to go. And we curate. It's a museum thing, right? So when you go to a museum, there's a curator there. They understand the flow. And I don't think opticians see themselves as curators. My very first opticians that I owned, I had the bays set out slightly differently. I had New York, I had Paris, I had Milan, I had London. London was very conservative and simple. Paris was edgy and fashion. New York was color and brash. Like, so we had all these things and it was there and it was very easy. Once we explained that to the patient, they knew where they were going to go. And I have to thank you so much for that insight. What you just said, if our opticians are listening, that's so insightful. And it could be a game changer for you. How many people walk into your office and then walk back out again, right? They won't. If they can see and choose themselves. With men, what I find on the skew is there's hardly any in a 60 eye.
Yes, exactly.
They're all 48. Like I'm a smaller head.
Right.
And there's hardly any for me, and there's hardly any for a big head, and yet you got everything else in that medium range.
Well, it's very interesting when you said, and I'm thinking now when I was just at the show, when you said, I'm wearing the blue frame and people stop me. Actually, at Vision Expo East in Orlando, I have a friend. He's a doctor for many, many, many years. Sold his practice, I would say, within the last 3 to 5 years. His name is Dr. Greg Ossoff. He's well known in the United States.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah. And he came into my booth wearing a frame of a similar color of yours. And I said to him, hey, Greg, is that a Kirk and Kirk frame? He said, yes. How did you know? So what's interesting, yeah, exactly. What's interesting is if you start wearing unique frames, but not only Kirk and Kirk, there's many other brands that bring color to the market or bring a story to the market. If you can identify your Van Goysen from Germany or your Riesling from Germany or your Lindberghs or your Gotthys, if you can start to identify those, that's what changes the market.
Well, I was watching the Oscars. Have you any interest in the Oscars?
Well, I was on LinkedIn last night while my wife was watching the Oscars.
Well, I watched the Oscars, and there's that horror movie. I forget.
Yeah, Sinners.
And the Sinners director had a lovely pair of Cartier on.
Right.
Very nice, recognizable straight away. Cartier, cool. Looks like he's got a few pairs.
Yes, and this is what's important, I think, for our retailers, because people will say, where did you get the frame? They never ask that about the frame that everyone's wearing. They ask it about the frame that's unique. And to be fair, being unique is not only for a boutique or a luxury product. You can wear a Morel product, which is beautiful. Etnia Barcelona, beautiful.
We love an Etnia.
Yeah.
I love an Etnia. There's so many brands. And what I do at trade shows, I'm going to share my secret. What I do, I go to the high-end, beautiful stuff, the $200, $300 stuff, and I look at it. And then I go to the China, South Korea bit and buy 10 of them. That's really bad, right? But no one does it. Everyone's too scared.
Well,
10 pieces, 20 pieces sounds scary. But you see, trend doesn't have to cost money. But when I buy it with somebody and it's quality, they will support you. Like China will not support you. If you're left with 9, they don't care. So people don't understand how to use their what do you guys call the guys that come in and show us the frames?
Yeah, your sales representative.
The sales rep is your best friend. Like sometimes my rep I phone him and I say, look, what have you got? And he says, I've got some really lovely pieces that I know will do well. I say, do it. Send me 10. And they're your best friend because this is low risk. They want it to sell. They'll change it out for you if they have to. People are not using their reps well.
Yeah, I think that's another area to chat about for a second. Yes, sales representatives in general are great educators for the customer. If they're selling diagnostic equipment, if they're selling lenses, lab services, frames, machinery, those are the first places you get educated. What I would encourage, again, the audience that you have is to work with the sales representatives to get education. Oftentimes, the sales representative, to be fair, the first word is sales. So a lot of people probably hear, I have to buy something. The truth is most sales representatives will be happy to get 15 minutes, 30 minutes of your time to do a little bit of education. And then if the eye care professional thinks it's interesting, they can set an appointment to do some purchasing or to
I'd
learn more.
always say
Yeah.
if a rep, I'll give him a few seconds. They'll
Yeah.
knock on the door and they say, "Can come in, show you a range." I say, show me your jewel in your crown. Show me from 10, 15 pieces. I can see if this is the kind of range that I like. David, do you mind teaching me something?
Please.
Acetate.
Yes.
Acetate that has taken months to create, and when you heat it and you cool it, and it keeps its color, and then that's the reason it's that price. And then
Sure.
you got injection molded Chinese done in a second. Our industry doesn't sometimes know what the difference is. Like I look at some beautiful acetate and I look at it and it creaks and it just has life in it. And I look at Chinese stuff that's like $5 and I can tell. Some of my colleagues can't tell.
Well, let me also talk a little bit about the injection process and what you're referring to as CNC handmade acetate.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
no. That's why I want to say I want to come back to you. There's some beautiful injection molded product that's very, very, very good and very, very expensive. And the example I often use is Silhouette. Silhouette is beautiful injection product.
SPX.
Yeah, SPX, right. But what's important to understand is there's a material, and then there's a mold that's made, and then there's a molding process. So we shouldn't, you and I and our audience shouldn't confuse injection with cheap.
That's what I'm doing wrong. That's where I'm going wrong. And I want to tell my patients the correct thing.
Right. It's a method of production. Okay. And then you have, acetate, which in the old days literally was made by hand. Like when you make block material, it was made by hand, the same way that you'd make, let's say, a large amount of cake dough. You actually would make this with your hands. Today it's made by machine. And then most of it, not all of it, but most of it is cut by machine as well. So the handmade aspect of your acetate frame, not in all places, but in many places, is done by machine. What's the difference between the two materials is they act differently when they're used. Look, think about a good Oakley frame. It's a nylon frame, injected, that you'd never be able to get in that great base 8 curve or that beautiful different folds in the frame. Very hard to do in acetate and will act differently than acetate. So I'm not a proponent of one or the other. I say, why are we using this method of production? Another one, what I mentioned to you before, Even Realities. Even Realities is a smart eyewear company. They won't use acetate. Why? Because just as you said, it will bend a little bit. For them, they need something that's very, very rigid, so their lens technology will work. And so they're using magnesium because it's a very, very rigid material. So we have to use our materials for what the purpose is.
I really think us as retailers should know what it's made of, the process, how the process.
Sure.
Have you heard of, of course you have, Cutler and Gross.
Yeah, Cutler and Gross, sure.
The brand loyalty there is ridiculous. Like when someone gets one, they get another. Oakley, the brand loyalty is ridiculous. Like, and I hope that you've got a range. I don't know your range enough, and I think we should. You've been very generous as a manufacturer. Tell me your ranges.
Well, we start with some really nice products at the top end of our ranges. We have a product called Ela collection that we developed 3 or 4 years ago, made in Italy. It's very, very beautiful, and it's more similar to what you're wearing now, for somebody that wants something a little bit more bold and willing to make a statement.
Do you have a UK distributor for that?
We do not have a UK distributor.
Come on, if you're watching this and you want to be a UK distributor for Dave, I think he'll be such a lovely person to work with. If you're watching this and your boss isn't appreciating you, contact David. So cool. Yeah. That's the first one. What's the next one?
We have another collection that was really asked for by our customers. This was a very interesting one. We had a collection many years ago that was oriented for men. And the collection was called Cole Haan, which is now over at the Marchand Marcolin business. So I think it was more than maybe 15 years, no, maybe 10 years ago that we don't have that collection. And for many years, our customers were saying to us, where is your men's collection that will be that type of style? And we didn't really move fast enough, but ultimately we came out with a collection 2 years ago called Uncommon. It's made for men that want to have something a little bit more uncommon,
I
a little
love the
bit more,
name.
right,
That's such a
right,
clever
right,
name. I like that.
a little bit more standoutish. And also, you mentioned before about a 60i. A lot of the collection happens to be bigger. I'd say about 50% of the collection is larger eye sizes, 50 to 63, I believe, 58 to 63.
It's a gap
Yeah,
in the market that need it.
yeah. So we've done very well with that product as well. Uncommon. The theme in the collection is for every frame to look something slightly different than the market. So we have all the same
Do you have a
shapes.
UK distributor for that one?
No, we don't have a UK distributor for that one either.
I think that's a gap. Like, if you're watching this and you're an optician, and you think I would like that. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't own an office anymore. I just sold my
Yeah.
last one. Like this, I'd be running to you saying that let's stock this because there's a large proportion of men that need this product.
Yeah.
It's
We
not
have no.
served right now. What's the
Yeah, by
next
the
one?
way,
You got some
yeah.
real good gaps in the market there. What's the next
Well,
one?
we actually do have a UK distributor for our children's collection, which is called Dilly Dally and Demi and Dash. This is
I love the name.
now, yeah. Well, it's Barry Dibble, who has Dibble Optics, and that company has recently been sold. So they'll be marketing to all of the UK. But Barry is still there, and we've been working with Barry for a number of years. He's a specialist in the kids business.
He's a legend,
Yep.
a living legend. That man.
Very, very good. And I just had lunch with him when I was in the UK. The range is very, very big. We have from size 31 up to 54. There's a selection of product for variable fit, so you can actually change the fit of the bridge and the temple length. We have a low bridge collection that is for people that require lower fitting bridges on their frames. We have
David, you know what I saw last week?
Tell me.
Oh man! So there was a Down syndrome little girl, and her length to bend. It should be 35 mil. It was there.
Right. Wow.
I'm like, what? The parents wanted something cool, not really understanding that a Down syndrome child has different facial characteristics. So what I did is I said to everyone, look, go on the shelf and find me a 115 length to bend. And they found me and I just changed it, it fitted. But with children, they're not adults. You need the right frames.
100%.
This sounds like a really cool thing. If you stock children's glasses, go to Dibble, check it out.
Right.
That's a really important thing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other ranges we have. We have a big titanium range. We have a good core product range, and then we run with some really nice brands. The biggest one, I think, internationally might be BCBG or Steve Madden. And we do have some people that are using the product internationally, but primarily we sell North America, South America, Caribbean, and Central America. Not as much in Asia, not as much in EU or UK, generally speaking, for our company.
And are you planning on your 3D printing to come to the UK? Because I think this is a really exciting thing, the 3D printing.
Yeah, the actually, strangely enough, very interesting observation or talking point. 3D printing has been around for many, many years. So where I see it, and many people may not realize it, you have 4 or 5 very, really well-known companies using 3D printing. So Gotti's using 3D printing, Makita's using 3D printing, Monocle's using 3D printing, Umavo's using 3D printing. Most of the 3D printing, though, that's being sold in high volume. Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and the Scandinavian countries. A little bit in the Netherlands, a little bit in Belgium. Belgium actually has the largest producer of 3D printing in the world, which is a company called Materialize. And also you have producers in Germany and some producers, in smaller countries. We have a friend that's in Spain doing production there. But generally speaking, it's those 7 or 8 countries. UK is using some of the bigger brands that I just mentioned. But in order for the UK or the US or other countries to start selling more 3D printed eyewear, the price has to come down. And I do believe that you're going to see in 2026 introductions from other companies where the price will come down, so it's more affordable for the mid-market. Because right now they're selling at 150, 160. Let's say 140 pounds or 140 euro and up, which means it's upper end product.
And, and it's a crowded market up there. Everyone wants it. For me, adjusting one of those frames is a bit challenging. I need to be trained.
Right.
I don't know.
So
it feels different.
Yeah, let me talk about that a little bit. I think there's three observations that I would have about 3D printing. So in the case of, let's say, Orgreen or Monocle, most of their products, if not all, are titanium temples. So it's a printed front with a titanium temple. Adjustments are easy. In other products like Umavo, they use a printed temple. Cleanse and Baum uses a printed temple. And sometimes you'll find a wire core in the temple. So I'm not suggesting every style, but I think Cleanse and Baum has a bunch that have a wire core, and Umavo may have that technology, but if not, you can check. And then it's somewhat simple to, you're going to heat the frame a little bit and adjust as you would normally. And then there are other collections that, like Lick Eyewear in Spain, or Radiant in Germany, that have just a printed temple. In those cases, and I'm speaking from some experience, the adjustments are less necessary because the frame balance is good, the fitting triangle that we call, as well as the temple, the way it's formed to begin with. So it's less needed adjustment, but I agree with you. You have to be careful, because if you over adjust, the temples will snap. But the opticians that know how to adjust, they'll use heat and adjust, but there's no wire core in those frames that I was just talking about. Yeah. You got someone chatting with you, or we're coming?
No. I got an intern here, and he can't get into my phone, and he wants my face. I guess he wants my face to write it in. There you go. The technology that is unbelievable. This young man, unavailable for 1 minute, sir. You've got it wrong too many times. I'm sorry for that interruption.
No, not at all.
You are so fascinating because your depth of knowledge. And just before we end, I'd love to know the history of how you got into optics as your second generation, third generation.
Right.
Could we explore that just a little bit, if that's okay?
Yeah. Very, very easy to do. So strangely enough, my mom and dad did not want me to go into the business because the business that we had at the time, Clear Vision Optical, in the 1970s, was a very small business, which was not unusual for many distributor businesses in the United States. Clear Vision started out, my dad was an optician. He started the company at age 22, left on good terms his business where he was working, called 23rd Street Optical, and started with a blessing from his boss, with a partner, a small optical distributor. They had lab services and frames, which were all made in the United States at the time. In 1966, my dad started to buy eyewear made in France and made in Italy with the name Clear Vision. And by the time I was in college in the 70s, he had a very, very nice business, but it was very, very local. I went to law school. Wow. And when I graduated law school in 1983, I practiced for about a year. My brother had already joined Clear Vision, and I asked my dad, would I be able to...
Is he a younger or older brother?
He's my brother is 2 years younger.
Baby brother.
So he was there first. And I asked my dad, would I be able to come into the business? He said, the business right now is small. It's supporting two families, your brother and my mom and dad. And we don't think it's big enough, for a third person, a third individual. So I said, Dad, I'm not looking to get anything for free. I'll earn my keep. My job will be to expand the business. And that was my original job. So I came on. I didn't realize that it would be as hard as it was. I thought it would be a little bit easier. But I joined when I was about 30, just about. And I've been working there now 40 years. So it was a good gig. We grew a very, very nice company in the United States. We are a leading, family owned and operated business. There's not many left. It's 78 years. And I work with my brother, my sister, who was just recognized by the Optical Women's Association as a leader for the OWA. My mom made that introduction. My mom's 90 years old. She was there at the Vision Expo.
Wow.
And my son is working there too, Lucas, working in tech print industries and does some special projects for Clear Vision. So
I think I've met Lucas.
You may have met Lucas, yeah. I mean, he's been to the UK a number of times.
I've got a Lucas as well. He's my oldest son, Lucas. Get them to, but all my kids didn't follow my footsteps. They've gone on to economics, different things. Maybe they'll come back.
It depends. Yeah, it depends.
Do you get enough recognition? That story was like you did this.
Yeah. No, it's not about recognition. For me, the journey has always been fun. I was a track and field athlete growing up, and a lot of people didn't like practice. They liked the track meets. I like the practice. The practice tells you how you're going to do in the track meet. The track meet is kind of, cherry on top. During the week is what I liked working. So it's the same thing here. I like working, and any kind of, success that comes from the work is based on the work that you do, not the success that you're chasing. So that's it for me.
That's such good advice. Anyone watching here that has their own manufacturing and wants to get into that and they're struggling, what are some of the tips that you can give? Is it pure marketing? Marketing's changed a lot in the last 10 years with digital marketing.
I think what's important in your business is you always have to keep current. You always have to keep current. So for me, technology is important. The way you change your marketing is important. For example, in the old days, if you just put an advert in your local phone book, that was one way to do it. It doesn't work that way anymore. So you have to keep up in the marketing of your practice, in the technology of your practice. I think hiring the right people is incredibly important. Too often we hire too quickly. We don't train, we don't develop individuals. I think that's important. At our company, Clear Vision, we like to see that we have at least 5% of your work time devoted to education and training. So that'll amount to, on average, about 2 hours a week. It doesn't happen every week that we do 2 hours, but it might be 8 hours at a seminar. Yeah, and then you're developing that for the month. So I think those are the things that are important. If you're in the business of selling something, as you mentioned before, curating your location is very, very important. To look like everyone else, me too, doesn't work. The quality of your machinery and investing in machinery, very, very important. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do to be better than the competition. And I think it's important that business owners hear that, because you don't have to only be like everyone else. That's the key. You don't have to be like everyone else. Absolutely.
You've been so generous with your time. What a brilliant person to do my first American podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And it was great the way we met each other over in, Silmo last year at the Opticians Award. That was where we met each other. I think we did our first LinkedIn together real quick.
Like that.
We just had a lot of fun. And it's kind of, I would say, interesting, since we didn't know exactly what we were going to be wearing today, that I've put my Garry hair color on.
I appreciate that.
Your Dave Friedfeld color on your face. So we did it together.
I love people that care about what they do. You work with such passion and purpose, and I see that. And the world is shrinking, so we get to do things like this. And I hope I see you at the next show. Where's your next one you're going to be at?
I'll definitely see you. The next show I'm probably going to be at is up in Boston. Oh, actually, I'm going to a show later in the week. It's a small one in Houston. Vision Trends is having an educational academy. I'm going to be speaking there. And that's a good group of professional optometrists that have been working together for a number of years. I'm going to be over at the Rapid show in Boston, which is 3D printing. It's a great show for 3D printing. There might even be a few optometrists that go there as well. It attracts, I would say.
Milan? Are you going to go to Milan? Yeah. Milan's coming up.
Well, Milan was already happened a few weeks ago.
Paris? Which one of the big ones have him?
Paris is going to be in September. I'll be there, of course. I'm thinking about going to Istanbul for the first time. That would be interesting. Korea is coming up in, let's see, April. Korea is coming up. I've been there to that show a few times, but this year I'm staying home. Pretty much April, May, June. Texas State Optical has a show, what they call Family Reunion in June. So there's a bunch of shows coming up.
Wow. I hope you come back again. I hope that we can talk again. I could talk to you forever. You're such a feast of knowledge. And I hope that you do find your distributor in the UK.
We will. We can do part 2. Let me do this. What can I do to help you, though? What can I help to get you well known in the United States? What can I do?
I have no idea. Right now, I've sold my office.
Right.
And I'm living the dream. I'm interviewing some really cool people. And I don't know. I'd love to collaborate and work together. And I'm giving back right now. I want to just give back and see what happens.
Well, I'll be happy to repost or otherwise your podcast here, so you can become more well known in the United States. I think you have a lot of energy,
like you.
Yeah, a lot of ideas, a lot of good ideas, and people should. By the way, I happen to think that podcasts are great. The way that I see it now, though, and our podcast today, our discussion's been. Let's see, maybe was it now? Maybe not quite an hour, but close to an hour. I would say there's a couple of snippets here that if we cut them up, we might push them out. That's the way to get.
Yeah, we'll chop this up and we'll get some sound bites.
Right, that would be good. I think so.
You have a wonderful day. It's the morning for you. You've got the rest of the day to tear up, and I'm sure you're gonna just absolutely have the best day.
I'm going to have a great time. And by the way, again, thank you for your infectious energy. It's a great way to start my day.
All right. Likewise. Same. Now, everyone, if you've watched this and you've enjoyed it, please share. If you want to reach out to David, he's a friendly guy. Find him on LinkedIn or some show around the world. Just say hello.
Take care, Gary. Have a great day. Thanks for everything. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Stop recording. Hey, that was good. That was fun.
Recording stopped.